who's got an independent voice.
Well, Hillary said it 4 years ago. They're losing the info war. We'll be right back with Wayne Madsen, your phone calls, and a lot more. And wild cards. What does he think's most important? I'll ask him. Basically, Patriot Act. Jesse wants to talk about Jesse Ventura and immigration. Cindy wants to talk about ISIS in America. Yeah, they've just arrested supposedly 3 people. Fox News is reporting who wanted to join ISIS. We're going to discuss all of that. Also, they're set to move on codifying Obama's executive action on merging us into a North American Union. That's what they call the open borders. That's just some of what's coming up. Meanwhile, college indoctrination on steroids, capitalism must be overthrown for the sake of humanity. Janet Yellen is freaking out about audit the Fed bill. Here are 100 reasons why she should be freaking out. Another article, ex-FCC chief shocked by Fed's attempt to regulate internet. That's just some of what's coming up today that we haven't really gotten into in detail yet. Before we go back to Wayne Madsen of WayneMadsenReport.com, I also want to get him to talk about his latest book. Folks should definitely go get it and read it and support independent journalism. But before we go any further and talk about tales from the CIA, this month of February, we've had some of the biggest specials ever. A free bottle of Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Booster. Normally a $14.95 value. Free when you get it with 2 bottles of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. That special ends in 3 days. InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Super high quality, life-changing products, certainly in my life. You've heard the rave reviews. I want to thank you all for your support. That's how we fund this operation. That special is going to end. We've got 20% off super male and super female vitality. Just try a bottle of it. If it doesn't blow you away, you've supported the broadcast, but quite frankly, I know what's going to happen. We haven't really seen anybody yet who hadn't had rave reviews of the stamina, the energy, the, to quote Beavis and Butthead, the boing. I mean, it is certainly the real deal because of all the estrogen mimickers and fluoride suppressing our normal endocrine system. This will blow you away. And by the way, I have a big university study out of England. Research exposes how our water is making us depressed and sick. It's a great headline, but it's not hardcore enough by Mike Barrett at Infowars.com, who did a great job writing this article. It should say, university study, fluoride destroying the thyroid. Because you read the study that they're linked to here, 30% increase in the cities in England in hyperthyroidism and also underactive thyroid, so both. Just studying that. So you can go read it for yourself. Just another study to the thousands. The Harvard study looked at 25 studies proving a massive IQ reduction. The list goes on and on. What are you doing paying for a toxic waste to be dumped in the water? There's London Telegraph. Fluoride in drinking water may trigger depression and weight gain, warn scientists. What? That was also in the London Telegraph? You mean they actually reported on it? When did they report on it? Monday. Wow. The London Telegraph beats InfoWars by 2 days. Wow. I love being beaten by mainstream media. Yeah. Make me passé. Make me old news. Anyways, you can get a super male, super female, 20% off, 15% off all the water filtration systems that are already the lowest price, highest quality. InfoWarsStore.com. Have any questions or comments? There's literally hundreds of other great products at InfoWarsStore.com. You can call toll-free 888-253-3139 and talk to our polite, informed, great InfoWars crew that's answering the phones in the building next to me. And then after 6 o'clock at night, we have an answering service, but they're still great folks. But you are talking to an info warrior when you call before 6 o'clock Central. So 888-253-3139. Wayne Madsen, just now I thought of something. Do you feel vindicated being one of the first 9/11 truthers, demonized, vilified, drugged through the mud, pilloried, attacked, for saying that Saudi Arabia clearly had a major hand in it and that there was a stand down in the book you wrote, in the interviews you've done? for international, national media and this show. You were one of the first prominent 9/11 truthers covering real facts. They sent in the well poisoners with ridiculous conspiracy theories who all attacked us to try to discredit the message. But now the 28 pages, Senator Graham, head of the commission, says Saudi Arabia quarterbacked it, bare minimum, and that our government, bare minimum, stood down. We are vindicated. What do you make of that? And then are you worried about a new false flag?
Yeah, I'm worried about a new false flag, but yeah, I was actually threatened with lawsuits from people in Saudi Arabia, a Saudi sheikh, for example, because I had written about the involvement of some of these Saudi banks, Saudi bankers, members of the Saud family in 9/11. The current king of Saudi Arabia, I tagged him as facilitating the transfer of members of Al-Qaeda through Riyadh when he was governor of the Riyadh province to Pakistan and Afghanistan, paying their plane fare for their plane, giving them their tickets, they're paying for their hotel rooms, giving them cash. He's the current king, King Salman, not to be confused with what you catch out in the Puget Sound in the Pacific Northwest. But I believe me, those Salmons. Those King Salmons smell a lot better than King Salman of Saudi Arabia. But yeah, look, I mean, I had very good sources back then that were trying to tell me this was going on, and I just I feel good that they're vindicated more so than myself.
You're talking about Springman and others ahead of the U.S. Embassy.
Springman was one of many but there were so many back in those.
Colonel Butler.
Yeah. I mean, they're just. I think back on some of them. Unfortunately, some of them are no longer with us. Some have, kind of gotten out of the mainstream. They got beat up so bad they decided to get out of the.
And these are people there that watched it all happen. I mean, these were eyewitnesses.
Yeah, I mean, they were, and some of them are still around, but many of them left the military, left the intelligence services. It'd be nice. They talk about putting up memorials. I'd like to see a memorial put up to those 9/11 truth people who, suffered immensely. Some of them are dead, and I think suspiciously.
Remember Barry Jennings 2 weeks after he was on the show? We aired the interview that our crew, I was producing Loose Change second edition then, and we interviewed him, aired the thing, and he was dead 2 weeks later.
Yeah, even Jean Palfrey, the D.C. madam, told me she had information that would have been of interest to the 9/11 Commission.
You were on the show with her that day, and I said, listen, they might kill you. And I said, you'll never commit suicide. And she said, never. And I remember I had the police detectives call me. I had her condo manager call me and say, no, she was leaving. They were after her. He sent me her handwriting. Looked nothing like her suicide note.
Right. And there was FBI agent John O'Neill that was on the trail of the Saudis early on.
You knew Palfrey, by the way, quite well. Let's remember the D.C. madam here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long list. But look, there's still reluctance to release those 28 pages, and I pretty much been told what's in them. It's no surprise to me where these roads lead, and it'd be nice to see the pages come out. But I think it's going to be anticlimactic when they do our release, because we're going to say, yeah, we already knew that stuff. But
we're not going to get apologized to by CNN, Fox News, Glenn Beck. I mean, really, Glenn. Yeah. Glenn, come on, do I get an apology?
No, well, some of those guys, I have a bit of schadenfreude right now with some of them, like Brian Williams and Bill O'Reilly, lying about their war records, and O'Reilly trying to claim he was standing outside of Morin Schultz's house when he committed suicide before he was supposed to testify before the House Select Committee on Assassinations. I mean, if we've been able to get these two figures, how many others are there like them that lie about everything?
What about Brian Williams? What's your view on him? I mean, when he came out and tried to say, I misremembered being hit by a missile when he was an hour and a half actually behind it. I mean, that is just an insane lie.
Yeah, I mean, who?
That's like saying I was in the fertilizer plant explosion in the town of West Texas that's 100 miles away. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the thing is, poor Dan Rather got run out of the business because he happened to have told the truth. Look, of course, some of the evidence was problematic. He had about 20 pieces, and we know Karl Rove spiked one piece of disinfo. Yeah, so
there's the corporate media for you. You know, they promote the ne'er-do-wells, the people who make up stories, and those who try to report the news are, you know, shown the exit the exit door. Anyone who look, I'm going to predict right now that I think in 2 years there will no longer be the half-hour broadcast evening news shows. I think they're just ridiculous. Do
you think Brian Williams will be seen as the bellwether mark point in which the dying dinosaur media finally collapsed into a rotten heap?
Yeah, I think NBC will probably be the first to get rid of its nightly news, followed probably by ABC.
Well, CNN's already segueing out to cooking shows and travel shows.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, and MSNBC does the lockup shows on the weekends, you know, and even the Weather Channel, we get, you know, Coast Guard guys in Alaska. What is this crap? See, that getting back to the internet and net neutrality, that's what I would hope that the internet doesn't become that kind of garbage. But I think there are people with, you know, the Hollywood crowd and the music industry would like to turn the internet into a reservoir of garbage like we see on cable TV today.
But we can see the metric of what they call conspiracy news. That means anything that doesn't fit with the official narrative. It's what's growing. Yeah. I mean, I don't think this is something they can get rid of. I don't think that if they were losing the info war 4 years ago in Hillary's words to Congress when she testified, I think now we're really hurting them bad.
Well, they try to regulate the internet. I keep my backup. I have my old Woodstock manual typewriter. I'll just start doing my stories on that and send it out by snail mail. You know?
Well, we know the Soviet Union got crippled by people with fax machines handing out printouts just saying the government lied about this, the government lied about that. That's why everybody should always have an arm of their media operation that's low-tech.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if they ever shut me off or anything, I'll launch an initiative of people door-to-door to put handbills up everywhere so fast they can't stop us.
Yeah, I want to. I'm actually thinking about going to some garage sales and antique stores to see if I can get those old mimeograph machines I used to have when I was back in grade school and junior high.
By the way, I'm sure you saw that Germany and Russia are actually buying typewriters for their super secret communications, but the big secret is France already uses underground pneumatic tube for anything considered secret.
Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of countries going back to, well, we used to use those in the military, even in the intelligence community, they were called bunny tubes, where you put your messages in these pneumatic tubes and send them from one building to another, one room to another.
Yeah, my dad, strangely enough, when he was in France, wanted to get a tour of the SURs, but it's not the actual SURs, it's the old, 500-year-old ones, and because it was a big tour, and he went down in them, and they were like, and I was like, what's these tubes? And they go, that's for secret communications. He just said they were just scores of them. This was like 5 years ago.
Yeah. They're very effective as long as some clown, as we've had on many occasions, as long as some clown didn't put a banana or an apple in this thing, because you wind up with banana mush or applesauce on the other end.
Oh, so some of the people, even in the agencies themselves, would do that?
Oh, sure.
Have you heard about this epidemic in federal agencies of people crapping on the floor?
The phantom crappers.
What if they did that in the pneumatic tube?
Yeah, we had. We had a lot of funny things show up in the pneumatic tubes. Yeah, well, there were stories. I mean, I remember that back in the barracks in the Navy, there were those phantom people that did such things. But I mean, why do that? You want to, if you want to be crapped on, just turn on the CNN and get the latest press conference from the White House,
or turn into Mrs. Maddow or Mr. Maddow. He'll certainly get crap on you.
Oh, I know, it's ridiculous.
All right, I'm sorry for the potty humor, folks. Got to have some gallows humor. Hey, let's take a few phone calls, Wayne.
Sure.
All right, Wayne Madsen's our guest. Next hour, I'll get into the secret. Have you heard, it's even on mainstream news, they found secret black sites that the police have for interrogating people in Chicago?
Yeah, and I'm really happy that Rahm Emanuel was kept under 50%. He's forced into a runoff, and I would hope that anybody who's a voter in Chicago would vote for Jesus Chuy Garcia. I believe that's his name. I may have the last name wrong. I hope I don't. But he came out of basically nowhere and kept Emanuel under 50%. So they're going to go into a runoff, and I would hope that that Chuy becomes the next mayor of Chicago and gets rid of that nonsense.
Well, it's a good Star Wars tie-in. And now, is this mayor 7.5 feet tall and hairy?
I mean, Emmanuel is just he's just sold the city of Chicago to the highest
Well, he's
bidder.
a total gangster. I mean, for the folks who don't know,